What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? Hope you all are doing well. Oh, excuse me. All right. So, we're going to go over some more of the Rekieta case. As the description says, I missed this analysis done by Legal Mindset and Potentially Criminal. So we're going to do it today. There's rumors that the body cam footage should be being released any day now. So it's be a good idea for us to get re-educated with the case itself. Um, so um, I've been using legal mindsets analysis for this since for pretty much almost from the start. Um, I find his what's the word I'm looking for? His analysis of it fair and neutral. No emotions or feelings with it. Just it's just the facts, ma'am. Kind of a um, um, analysis, which I think is important here. And then Sean, potentially criminal. He is a defense attorney, active in Ohio, I believe it is. He's going to have a analysis that probably a lot of us won't have because he does do defense, criminal defense, and I assume fairly successful. And both these men have been, I guess, cast out of the nose society as they've been, and now they haven't quite let the friendship or the like they have of Rekieta to cloud their analysis of the situation. Um, so yeah, so that's why I'm going to use them, and I have confidence in their analysis of the case. Yeah. Um, so before we get going, just do a little housekeeping. Follow me on X at official WGhost as the best way to find out when I go live and what I am up to. You can also watch me live on X as well. Rumble is, of course, rumble.com/withghost. That is the main channel. It's nice. It's nice. I got like 41 people following, which is great. Honestly, it's amazing how many have actually gotten people to follow me. If I could just get more live chats or live viewers, that'd be even better. But I'm happy with how things are going, slowly but surely. So that's great. Oh, excuse me. YouTube is, of course, youtube.com/official with go. Oh, sorry. Wrong. Rewind. youtube.com/with ghost is for YouTube. Twitch.tv slash with official with ghost. So twitch.tv/official with ghost. Of course, I do have a gaming channel. Rumble is gaming with ghost, and YouTube is official gaming with ghost. So there we are. Yeah. I think that's all the housekeeping we got. We are still waiting on the on a decision from the Supreme Court on whether when it comes to Trump's immunity, we were I was at least tricked yesterday in thinking that we would be maybe getting that opinion today, as there was rumors and a video showing that there was fences being put up around the Supreme Court. Turns out that was archived footage. So we all got tricked. So but yeah, so who knows? Maybe while I'm doing this, we'll get a what's the word I'm looking for? We'll get a decision done. I will keep an eye out, and if it is that case where we do get a decision later today, then of course we will stop what we are doing and check that out and read that opinion. Um, but yeah, all right. So let us get to it. So here we are. Okay. Come on, bugger. There we go. All right, let's get to it, shall we?
Practicing attorney, so I can label you as a practicing attorney.
As many know, my practice is, of course, to put it at 1.5 speed, as this is an hour and 52 minutes. And I don't want to sit here for the whole hour and 52 minutes. So we're at 1.5 speed. I think that's plenty. That's fast enough to get things moving, but not too fast that you can't really understand anything that's being said. I'm going to try and keep the closed caption on as well. We won't do full. Let's see. Yeah, we won't do full screen because my little box here always seems to block it, so it doesn't work. So let's get to it.
Yeah, I had a trial this morning, a bench trial this morning. It was a little,
Wow.
and like this afternoon, I went and saw a guy at jail. I did all kinds of things, and yeah, it's gonna be fun because, when I do my research on things, I don't go, I found quotes. No, I found paragraphs of things. No, just saying.
We're going to get into it today. It's going to be good. Let me get some of these comments. Nick Cruiser, Riser for 20, says, suffer not the monstrous Slanesh, and may the Om Messiah keep your gathering of machine spirits from death and dysfunction. Yes, hail the Om Messiah, a.k.a. our God Emperor. Appreciate you, brother. The Chugi Show says, my impression is that Nick is irked with Nate, Sean, and maybe some others on their legal analysis, but only name drops you. I can't figure out the lore behind why he hates you. We'll get into that today. I have a little special section in my PowerPoint. You guys know I love PowerPoints on the ad hominem attacks. And I'm going to explain exactly why he is, and many people, it's not one person, it's many people, decide to turn the spotlight on me. We'll get into that. Yes. EDW Raptor, welcome as a new member. Appreciate you. And Obesno, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Appreciate you. Also, one dickhead, 10 Legal Mindset memberships from one dickhead. Listen, I always say don't be a dick unless you're one dickhead. Jeremy Werman said, I thought you guys were failed lawyers who knew nothing about the law. Listen, maybe there's a power to being a specialist, and all of us have our specialty. Sean, has, obviously, if it's Ohio criminal law, Sean is going to be numero uno. He's the only guy I know on the internet. Right? So, that would be Sean, right? If you're talking about Disney property agreements or special districts in Florida, that's kind of my thing, and how kind of VTuber contracts, I kind of put my little pin in that. But everybody's
talk about Amish guys selling milk, we could talk to Robert Barnes.
There you go. Everybody's got their thing. I do want to point out, March Mayhem says, I see the text and the thumbnail was moved. Let me just call it out. I did not see what it looked like beforehand. But apparently, before I fix this, this is what it looked like. We were doing a stream on sober anal.
The best part about this was Future Mrs. Martin 2.0. Well, I was in the middle of watching Nick last night, sell Copenhagen. She texted me and she's like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, and she thought it was like you were setting up a debate or something. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, no, don't worry, it's all good. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we're cool. This is going to be a very fact-based stream, a very law-based stream. I know it's crazy. There's going to be a law-based stream on the law by lawyers. It's weird. Yes. Let's see. Rangi says, what do you think are the implications of Barnes' statements about Andrew actionable? Is implication enough to get around defamation? I don't want to comment on that. All I'll say is, look, there's a statute of limitations on defamation. If people want to continue to submit evidence of defamation or particularly defamatory stuff, they're willing to do that. And, things aren't working that well in the monograph case. So I think that's a pretty good demonstration of the silliness of online defamation. I've talked about that in a lot of contexts, right? People feel very comfortable defaming other people, right? Until the rubber hits the road. So yeah. Bass said, is Nick becoming an anteater? Okay. Dragon Strider said, with Nick being done, now it's up to you two to shield my tea. You've got coupon codes. Use them. I think
promo code criminal.
Point here. Sean's got.
So, I'm just trying to skip ahead. He's just reading super chats, so nothing.
Some law. We've also got the law and crime video to review, so we're gonna get through all of those today.
I mean, of course, importance to him, not importance to me, because I'm not getting that money.
You guys know I'm a little bit of a fan of PowerPoints, to the point of perhaps having a little bit of the PowerPointism, right? It's my thing. I like to keep my thoughts organized. But I just want to go through this for you guys. And once we get to the end, this is not too long of a PowerPoint. It's only 15 pages. So we'll get through this, and then I'll open it up once again for questions for you guys. So obviously, the intent here was to provide a sober analysis. So while last week we were all kind of drunk on emotion and we were kind of high on people come in and new information coming out and ad hominem attacks and everything else, I wanted to cool down, get some law, get some facts, and come back to revisit this in a week, because obviously some things have changed. We've gotten new information, and there's stuff to talk about. Now, with this, like along with this, I have to address the ad hominem attacks, because a lot of people have been dropping ad hominems. Sean's already mentioned them, some of which I wouldn't have even brought up because they're not even worth to me acknowledging. They're so dumb. They're literally so idiotic. But to me, I was laughing and not responding because to me, it just shows its desperation move, especially from lawyers, right? So when a lawyer can't even make a legal argument, like they're not really a legal channel anymore, right? They're whatever else, but they're not a legal channel. If they can't come up with the case law, they can't come up with the facts, they can't even make a basic intellectual argument, right? It just shows they've pretty much bent over and surrendered. They've given up their legal argument.
Yeah, I've always said that anytime someone attacks you personally or ad hominem attacks, as people like to keep using, it generally is a sign that they don't really have a good argument, and that you've basically won the debate. So that's how I always go off of it. The second someone goes in with an ad hom, generally they've lost the debate.
They've stooped down to stuff like credentialism, right? Whereas, oh, I'm the specialist in this, and therefore all the other lawyers, right? I know the Constitution better than everybody else, right? Because I'm the master constitutionalist. Therefore, everybody else is wrong, right? That's the same thing Fauci did during COVID, right? And it's the same thing that like the deranged woke left does repeatedly over and over and over again, right? It is absolutely crazy. It's deranged, and we've called it out when it's the left doing it. But sometimes when it's a supposedly quote unquote right wing or traditional conservative person, you say, oh well, no, that's not what they're doing. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. But the biggest reason, the reason why I really do think I am catching so much flack is this last quote, which is the bomber only catches flack when it's over the target. That's not my quote. I actually am borrowing that quote. But the point of the matter is that I think from a perception standpoint, right, I'm perceived as the perception from one way or another is that I'm quote unquote attacking, right? And that's why people need to, shoot off at me. And because I'm saying things, many of which may be very true or close to the truth, people feel the need to voraciously attack me, right? Especially since there's people that are tuning in, people that are listening, right? This information is getting out there. Because of that, right, I'm catching some flack. I'm catching some flack over the Rhine, right? So that's my theory on that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it in general. Sean,
no. Oh, did you spell flack with a C? I didn't see that.
Oh no, I spelled it with a K.
Like L-A-K.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I mean, yes, people will not. If he was completely off target, nobody would care.
Right. You ignore it. Right?
A kicked dog yelps the loudest. Like, it's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody says something crazy, you're like, dude, this guy's crazy. I don't even need to debunk that because it's just patently ridiculous. And some of the things they're saying and the people are saying are just absolutely ridiculous. Just like basic misstatements of fact that don't even deserve to be acknowledged because they're so brain dead. There's some arguments we're going to bring up today that are pretty brain dead, but there's been some crazy ones right here. Real quick, Jim Blade says PowerPoints are based. I love making them. They help organize my thoughts.
Yes.
They help organize my thoughts.
Yes. And I mean, the other thing though too is with a bunch of these like ad hominems, like like the one about me being a fat retarded job of the head. Like, so if the opposing counsel's skinnier than you, they can look at, well, Your Honor, Counsel Barge, he looks like he's fatter than me. Case closed. Like, is that how that works? Like,
that's how it works in the law. That's how it works in the law. This guy's skinnier, so he wins.
Barge, it's okay. I beat it and then buried it.
It's once again, it's laughable. And if you think that a lot of these things that people say, if you think it's the first time that Sean's heard, like I was even saying, like, if it's the first time Sean's made a fat joke or someone's made a joke about me, like maybe my eye looking weird, right? It's not the first time I've
made that joke. Is legal mindset's eye does look weird. Sometimes it bothers me, not like, but doesn't really matter. He gives good analysis, but I was like, is his eye fucked up or something?
These jokes, like, so it's not, I'm probably laughing at it because it's like, okay, whatever, bro, like you're proving me right? You're literally proving my point because you've got no ability to actually argue the substance, the core of the issue, which is what we should be arguing.
It's flailing. It's very much like that scene in Saw where the guy's stuck in the barbed wire maze, just flailing and screaming. It's like, okay, well, you have fun with that.
Yep. Leprechaun Gold sent a $20 super sticker and also sent one before the show. So thank you very much for the $40, the 2 separate super stickers. Thank you. Win says PowerPoints for prosecutors. I disagree. I strongly disagree. I never was a prosecutor, and I've been using PowerPoints for quite a long time. All right, so let's get with the first update, shall we? That is the reassignment of the judge. So,
and I will say PPP was right. We got caught flat-footed. Like, I got caught slipping.
And let me be,
and I read the Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure after that. And it's like, yeah.
And let me be honest with you. This is why people get barred in different states.
Yeah.
Every state has different criminal procedure. And actually, I should have known this because Florida has the same procedure. Florida actually has the same procedure. And that is, and I've got this on the next page here. Yeah, the exact same procedure. So essentially, Minnesota, under their judicial rules, which is Rule 1420.2600, essentially gives you a freebie, right? So you get a freebie reassignment. Florida is very similar on this.
Now, maybe they get into this. Just so everyone knows, I haven't watched this, so I have no idea what's coming up and what's coming next, and or any of that. So just an FYI. Yeah. So I don't know what's coming on, what's going on with this, but anyways, so for those who don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, brain fart. The judge that was originally signed, Christina, whatever her name is Nick's original what's the fuck's the word I'm looking for? It's Nick's judge in his civil case. So her being his criminal judge probably wasn't going to go well for him, and also he's made some very disparaging comments about her. So her being his judge wouldn't have really worked out well for him. So it's not surprising, one, that he positioned for the a new judge to oversee his case. Doesn't really surprise me much. Doesn't surprise anyone really. But yeah. So just in case anyone doesn't know.
But this is why, once again, you have lawyers in different states, because procedural rules are one of the things that varies wildly state to state. So making the assumption that another state has your state procedural rules is a critical error, right? You know, there's higher level substantive law, which is largely the same state to state. There's some minor differences. But when you get into procedural law, there's some wild differences state to state. So this is the statute regarding disqualification of a judge. So it says right here, a party or a party's attorney may file an affidavit of prejudice and motion to disqualify a judge if the party reasonably believes that the hearing before the assigned judge cannot be fair due to the judge's prejudice or bias. The affidavit must be served in the opposing parties and filed with the judge not more than 10 days after the filing party has received notice of the assigned judge. Quick stop there. Nick almost missed this deadline. So he made it, but he almost missed it. Or has knowledge. Oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I mean, you know, he did it, and I know Nick is out there to get an attorney soon. Mm-hmm. Get counsel, like ASAP. Because this home brewing stuff, you know, it's not a good idea.
What is the saying? An attorney who represents himself has a fool of a client. Yeah. I mean, you're clearly going to be emotional about this. Clearly going to be emotional about this. So this is going to hurt you. So, anyways, to finish the statute here, the last is, upon filing of the motion and affidavit of prejudice, the chief judge or designee shall issue an order and assign the case to another judge. So as soon as it's filed, there's an automatic assignment.
Well, you're in the judicial rules, but there's like the Minnesota criminal rules have
correct
its own, like, asking for a new judge as well.
Point of the matter is, the first one is a gimme, right?
Yes.
And the second one does require a showing of prejudice, right? An actual showing of prejudice. So if you want a second judge, right? And so he says, oh, well, this second guy isn't fair. Well, now you've got to prove actual prejudice. So you get a freebie, right? That's fine. He's got a freebie. But if he was to go back and say, actually, I don't like Judge Wenzel, right? Because some people say Judge Wenzel, just Stephen Wenzel. They say he's a tough judge, that he's given out some pretty harsh sentences, right? So if that was your thought, hey, I don't like Fisher, but I also don't like Wenzel. Well, now you're gonna have to prove Wenzel's prejudice, and that's gonna be a lot harder than Jennifer Fisher, right? So that's gonna be a tough burden if he was to try to do it again. So the question was posed to me in the way that it was asked, even when PPP asked, was kind of like, can he just keep doing this? And I'm like, well, no, he can't do it forever, right? But I did not think of this procedure. So point there on that, fair dues, and this is why you get a local attorney who is specialized in this area of law, right? So that's obvious, right? We're giving you a general neutral overview here, but absolutely right. Sean, do you have something pulled up?
Yeah, this is just the Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure that talk about it. And this is the part, Now,
again, this particular video happened 9 days ago or something like that. I think since then, Nick has gotten his own attorney. I remember seeing something. I don't remember the dude's name. I'm trying to look at it right now, but I can't really find it. So, but yeah, so I think Nick has gotten his own attorney at this point.
Yeah, substitution of judge before trial. You may do it, and you got to do it at least within 7 days of receiving notice of the
7 days.
Judge. And yeah, he did it like 4 minutes to go. And you guys are somebody brought this up to me. Why could he file at 11:56? When you have electronic filing, the cool part about electronic filing is it doesn't, otherwise, like if I fax something into a courthouse and it's 5 o'clock and the court closes at 4:30, it's late. If it's electronic filing, it is good till 11:59 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's the neat part. I wish we had electronic filing. We don't have that here.
We do have e-filing in Florida, so it doesn't.
Some counties have it, but they have like an entire their state's electronic, which is neat.
Yeah, it makes it much easier. Makes it much easier. So now I want to get into some of the arguments. These are more substantive arguments, and these are more arguments that I've heard from people around around the block. Some of them are lawyers, some of them are not lawyers, right? And I want to clarify these arguments because I really haven't seen the law talked about. I've seen a lot of feelings talked about with this. I've seen a lot of, friendship arguments, like I said, kind of Naruto style arguments, but I haven't heard a lot of law. So we're going to talk about the law about this. One of the arguments here that I've heard is it's all hearsay, right? Sean, have you heard that kind of argument? Like everything is hearsay.
Yeah. A warrant itself is hearsay. The fact somebody wrote it out, it's an out-of-court statement being offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. Like
Exactly.
literally the cop writing out, even if he watched it happen,
Right.
I watched this happen. That's hearsay because it's an out-of-court statement. The entire document itself is hearsay.
Exactly.
By that standard, we can never have search warrants.
No, search warrants are illegal. It's all a government conspiracy with search warrants, really. I mean, just throw them all out.
Yes.
So anyway, some people that are defending here have argued the search warrant relies on hearsay. Well, and just so you guys know, because I know not everybody is a law autist here, hearsay is an out-of-court statement offered in court for the truth of what was asserted. In most courts, hearsay is inadmissible unless an exception applies. Now, the key word here is in court, right? So we're talking about the body of the proceeding, the actual criminal proceeding. The deficiency with this argument, the major deficiencies with this argument are twofold. Number one, not everything the search warrant, not all the facts are hearsay, right? So for example, the present sense impression of the police identifying Nick's behavior on stream as consistent with polysubstance abuse, that's not hearsay. That's literally a cop looking and saying, nope, that's what I see here. But beyond that,
but I would argue, I think you could argue the cop saying, I saw this is what I observed.
Sure.
His statement. But yeah, I agree with you. Yes, there's a million different statements. And the thing is, even if it's hearsay within hearsay within hearsay, if you can go from person A to person B to person C, and this checks out, this checks out, this checks out, that's acceptable because that's how this works. Because they don't drag each one of those people in front of the judge to come and explain what they saw. It's going to be written out. And as long as they can show there's some reliability and truthfulness to it, that's all it takes.
Yeah. So the second part is the key one here, guys. Hearsay can be used to establish probable cause for the search warrant. So I'm going to go over some general law, and I think Sean's got some more specifics with Minnesota. But here, this is a general case, which is Illinois versus Gates. This is a 1982 case, which actually established a totality of the circumstances approach to looking at probable cause and evidence for a probable cause. We kind of approach the modern approach is based on Illinois versus Gates, the Supreme Court of the United States case. So it applies to all of the United States. So in this case, these are very important facts because, if you think that Nick had bad facts, this is even worse. Police used an anonymous tip. So, with the mandatory reporter, we eventually got the identity of the mandatory reporter, but this is an anonymous tip that Lance and Susan Gates, a couple, were selling drugs. And that was enough for a search warrant. The court said, yep, that's totally sufficient for a search warrant, right? We're totally okay.
Yeah, I'm sure people are wondering, why is this important? Because it shows like a precedent of anonymous tips being used to conduct search warrants. So all those people saying, well, it's or anonymous hearsay stuff being used as ways to get a search warrant is grounds to get a search warrant if they're got some anonymous tips. So that's all Legal Mindset's doing here is establishing that, like, hey, you're able to here is because the main argument here from Barnes and Rekieta and all that is, hey, it's an illegal search because all they got is hearsay, blah, 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 fucking blah, 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 blah. But, here we have a precedent showing that, hey, police have used anonymous tips to get search warrants before. So, there's a precedent. So, it's not really, it hasn't been, it wasn't found unconstitutional then. Why is it now unconstitutional? Okay, so
issuing search warrants based on anonymous tips because probable cause is not the same thing as going into court beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a different procedure. So Sean, did you have some more on the Minnesota side of that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, and this is where, and like I said, I guess we're gonna have to go. I'm trying to not just sit here and say, well, Barnes this, Barnes that, but I found quotes. It's like, yeah, so did I. I read those exact same cases, Holmes, and one of the ones I read, and there's a difference between casual. It's like, yeah, there is. There's a difference between casual users and drug dealers. That's 100% true. And the way the state does it, this is the case he used, and this is the one he sent to Joe. State fee Saudo or pseudo, whatever you want to call it. Studio. Did you bring it up yet?
Let me see. It's right there. Okay, got it. Right there.
This is the case. Like, you're like, okay, cool. So you scroll down, and this was about a lady. She had drugs, and they got a warrant, and they found more drugs. Well, when you get to the actual discussion of things here, it's like, yes, the search warrant application failed to establish a nexus between her casual drug use, much as any drug dealing.
Okay.
But the information was stale, was the biggest point. The proof must be of facts so closely related in time of the issue of the warrant to justify a finding of probable cause. You know what? If literally you did this, like, because I don't know what time of the day the officer looked at that video, but that was like what, 3 o'clock in the morning when Nick's hitting the slopes? Less
Right.
than 12 hours later, I'm watching this guy bust a rail on camera. Now people might say, "Oh, well, how did it could have been fake?" It's like, you're going to have to then say you've still given them probable cause. You're committing a crime. If
Right.
you look like you're committing a crime, the police have to assume like there wasn't it's a joke, and then he holds up a bag of powder, like powder donuts. That didn't happen. So yes, there is a difference, Barnes, but you're doing this like, I found quotes like, buddy, you're an attorney. You have to read the rest of the paragraph. So what is the staleness factors? Like, is there ongoing indication of ongoing criminal activity? Yeah.
It was from what I understand, it was within a.
So what that's saying to me is, because I guess Barnes used this as a reason, like, oh, hey, look, see, blah, 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 search warrant wasn't good. But what potentially Colonel is saying here is like, yeah, but this, the search warrant and the hearsay and all that was like so far apart. It's not really good. It wasn't like, basically like say that they got the search warrant like, on the 18th, but they got the information a month before, in that sense, then yeah, there would be an issue, as you don't really have proof that they continued doing said thing. Now with this, it was, when it comes to this particular case with Rekieta, there's ongoing, based on the search warrant and everything like that, there's ongoing appearance of use, and not like, I can't remember how long, but maybe a week prior, or maybe a couple days prior, or like a couple days prior to the actual execution of the search warrant, we had the infamous stream. So it's not as stale as it would have been if they, if Nick had done this like a month ago, and then now they just did a search warrant. It's not as stale because it's it's fairly obvious not too long ago that they that he was appeared to be doing some sort of illegal substance.
A couple days, right? This went down and was worked on in a day. So
of that day. Right. So I think it was when we read the warrant, it was like within hours.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, that Barnes like, oh, this case is so important.
Okay. Yeah. So like potentially Colonel said, like they got the search warrant within hours of that infamous video. And let's see, I think this case here, they got it. There was a decent amount of time in between the information and them getting the search warrant.
Okay, well, what was the difference in the search warrant application? Okay, there was a substantial lapse of time. It had been over 6 months since this person had been using the drugs.
Oh, there we go. See, like I said, I haven't seen anything. I said a month, but apparently in this particular case to talk about, it was 6 months when the person was seen using drugs and they executed a search warrant. I would say that's a significant amount of time and far more substantial than a couple hours. Just saying.
Purchasing their ounce of drugs. And approximately 10 months had transpired since they had it delivered. So it's but this is when you're attorneys, I'm not gonna lie. Like if I'm Barnes and I'm trying to defend Nick, yeah, I'm using that top line. There's a difference. And I feel dirty that I have to act like a prosecutor right now. Yeah. And why do I do it? Because we need to you gotta have some reality out there, chat. I'm not trying to tell you like, yay the war on drugs, but you know what? These are the rules on the ground right now.
Well, and that's a whole separate thing. There's a whole separate argument about the policy stuff, and I have separate slides on that when we get the policy, right? And look, guys, in terms of the,
I mean, look, regardless of whether you want, whether you think drugs should be legal, whether they shouldn't, or whether they should be legal, blah, 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 it doesn't really matter because they currently are illegal and you're not supposed to be doing them. So if you go ahead and do them, you're violating the law, and what you like, this is what happens. Like, so it's a bad argument in my opinion when they keep bringing up like, well, drugs should be legal, it comes from the ground, blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, whether I agree with you or not doesn't really matter. They are currently illegal, and they were illegal at the time that Nick did them. So if like, even if they came out and said all drugs are legal now, that wouldn't matter, because guess what? At the time that Nick did them, they were illegal, and he knew they were illegal. So it doesn't matter. It's a dumb argument. Whether you think drugs should be legal, there shouldn't be a war on drugs. Okay, fine. I honestly could care less if you think that or not. What matters is that they are currently illegal, and that if you do them, you're gonna get in trouble and go to jail for them. Especially if you do them on stream, or do them off stream and then come back fucked up with some white powder on your giant honker.
The government bootlicking and all that. It's like, yeah, I am all for changing the laws, but I also acknowledge reality, right?
Yeah.
And the
I don't
reality
like the NFA. I'm not going to go make a machine gun right now.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to do it online.
Right, correct. And tell everybody I'm going to do it, or announce to the world I'm doing it, right? It's like, yes, I am actively, going out there and saying I am actively breaking the law. Like, doesn't make you, I don't think that makes you a government bootlicker. I think it makes you not an idiot, right? And in terms of just walking right into it, and just self-owning, right? So to me, that doesn't make much sense, right? So you have to be convicted for your, for your political beliefs in order to or your personal beliefs in order to, have street cred, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, and when the activities and ongoing protected nature, and did you read the search warrant? This has been happening for months. He's been acting weird. He's losing tons of weight. He's acting and looking strung out as you watch the videos go by.
Right. Where was the cocaine found? Was it found? I mean, once again, it was found like in the garage on a dusty box that was locked in a corner, or was it on the nightstand? Right. I think you're better off when you're trying to defend a warrant. You don't try to argue about the facts of what was found, because at the time, did you have a good faith, reasonable belief that this was you were gonna find contraband? Correct.
Because if let's say they hit and nothing happens, like that does happen sometimes. Like, does that mean the warrant was bad? No, it's just they got rid of it or it wasn't there anymore.
Fair dues. So for the legal analysis point, you're spot on. I guess that's me responding to the factual arguments that people are making, right? Like,
and it's been ongoing for months. Like, we're not just going to say, oh, this was Nick's first time doing coke and we happened to catch him, because that's that the court's not going to buy that argument either.
Right.
So you've got you could say, well, this is the shit Nick's going to have to defeat. And there's probably if I know the ins and outs of all the stuff here in Ohio, that like there's probably ways you can work around this. Maybe there are, but this is going to be tough because there's
Is it once again, you can always make an argument. That's fine. You can even make arguments that are kind of ridiculous, but is it a long stretch? Yeah, this is a stretch. This is definitely a stretch of an argument. So another really one that I've heard that's a super stretch, or at least that I was it kind of blew my mind. And it's up there. In fact, I've heard the same folks, or at least some of the same folks, actually now make the argument that the drugs belong to Eric July, but there's an argument right now that the drugs belong to the kids, right?
I think that argument was meant to be.
What the fuck? Okay. All right. Apparently it's the kid's fault again.
Very tongue-in-cheek.
So yeah, real quick though, I just want to diffuse this in like 2 seconds, guys, because this is like a 2-second dismissal of whether the drugs belong to the kids or whether it's a secret Eric July conspiracy. If you've got, if you knew or condoned of a minor's crime, you can be criminally charged, right? That's something that can happen, right? And obviously there's actual possession and constructive possession. Now Nick didn't have actual possession because he didn't have possession on his person, but he did have constructive possession, which requires knowledge and dominion and control. Which the case there in Minnesota is State versus Hunter, right? Which says you need to prove constructive possession over the drugs, not just the place. But because Nick spoke to police, because he said he sleeps in the master bedroom, they're in plain view in the master bedroom, any sort of argument
in the bedroom, there's a presumption those safes he has access to and control over. But I do want to go back to that first part about maybe it's the kids' drugs.
Sure.
That argument, when I heard that, I think that was 100% meant to be tongue in cheek.
And perhaps it is. But I mean, the fact that even one person took this seriously, or people were asking questions about this.
I didn't know anybody took it seriously because
I don't know. People on the internet, they got the tism showing.
I understand, but I guess.
So even even if they're in this crazy.
Hey, all right. It was definitely the kids' drugs, and it was definitely the kids' fault because they can't feed themselves. Because they're pampered. Remember that.
Theory where his oldest son is a cokehead and ketamine also. He's down with the ketamine, and the coke, and he's holding it for his son. He would be liable if that was the crazy fact pattern that people want to go with, right? So this would not be something Nick could get out of, because
it also wouldn't explain the powder on his own nose. It also wouldn't explain the drastic weight loss, because no one's believing that. Oh yeah, you got the weight loss because you've been you've been exercising real good. No one's believing that at this point, especially now that we found the actual drugs. So
because that theory.
Also imagine telling a jury, look, my son does coke, I'm holding on to it for him. Imagine telling that to a jury.
That's not going to go well.
Or the judge. It's like.
And the last one I had here is the last argument. Now this one is equally kind of interesting, which is drugs should be legal, right? And this is something, even I had this conversation with folks who are like, I think coke should be legal, or I think ketamine should be legal. I've had people say that, and I can respect that people want to make subjective moral and political points. I can respect people want to make a libertarian point, and perhaps we could have a debate and they, could prove their point politically, but the reality is, in both the United States and the state of Minnesota, cocaine and ketamine are both factually not legal. And of course, my suggestion here, of course, as a good person who lives outside the United States and helps people leave the United States on a regular basis, would be, hey, if you want to go somewhere where drugs are legal, right, either de jure by law or de facto, there's plenty of options for you to do that, right? I mean, if you want to go somewhere, like you've got Portugal, which is decriminalized drugs. Argentina has no limits on personal use, so you can use drugs for personal use, right? And they've got a libertarian president. You got that. Portugal's in Europe. You got that. Uruguay, the Switzerland of South America, right? Never criminalized drugs. So there you go. And then of course you've got Somalia, which is de facto, right? Despite the fact that they technically have drug laws in the books. Somalia, you're probably going to get away with it. They got kind of a cot problem. They got kind of an opiate problem in Somalia because de facto they cannot enforce their drug laws. So if they're trying to, if that's your argument, right? My thing is, hey, that's fine, but go live in those countries where you can do that, and that's perfectly okay, right?
Yes. But then there's also countries like Thailand where they kill you, Malaysia where they'll kill you, Singapore where they'll kill you.
Yeah, watch the movie Broke Down Palace. That's a great one about Thailand, where they will absolutely, right? China, right? That's a death sentence, right? These are not, there's a lot of places where you will be killed for cocaine and ketamine, right? So there's all over the place, places that take these things very, very, very seriously and take a lot of the crimes very, very seriously. So, just understand that, hey, look, if you're complaining about the law, you should probably just relocate somewhere if you really want to disappear into the K-hole in front of your kids.
And there might be times where you can go in front of a jury and argue the law is bullshit. You're not going into Yoderville, Minnesota and arguing, I should be able to, ride the white stallion. They're not going to buy that. You might be able to get those people to say, okay, weed's probably not a big deal, but all those Scandinavian incel prudes are not going to be cool with you doing coke and ketamine.
Well, the other thing too is for all those that want to say, okay, well, let's make this into a Supreme Court case. I don't think these are the sympathetic case facts that are going to change drug law in America. The case of Nick Rekieta does not have the fact pattern that would lead to a sweeping legalization of drugs across America. I think I'm going out on a limb there by saying that. I don't think I'm going out on a limb there by saying that.
Yes. Right. United States v. Baldo. That's going to be the...
That's going to be the one that changed everything.
Imagine that somebody has to explain to Clarence Thomas not just what sneeding means.
Now, again, you don't know. Nick's famous for the whole Baldo thing. He was a proponent of it, so now they're just roasting him over it, which is fucking hilarious.
He has to ask the law clerk, what is this Baldo thing?
Yep. So let me continue down here. The last thing I want to explain, this is actually not an argument, more of an explanation, is the Alford plea. This is something a lot of people have brought up. I've seen people mentioning it. I just wanted to bring it up because some of you guys might not know what it is. You're probably familiar with Alford plea. It's legal in Ohio.
An Alford plea? Yeah, we do Alford pleas.
Okay. So Alford plea is named after North Carolina versus Alford, which allows a criminal defendant to maintain innocence but accept an imposition of a sentence. And actually, in 2022, someone with a very similar fact pattern to Nick. So this is very, very similar and very recent. A Wyckoff, Minnesota man was convicted of 1 count of felony drug possession and 1 count of gross misdemeanor firearm possession, and he received a sentence of 5 years probation after taking an Alford plea. He was also fined $1,000 with the option to serve 100 hours of community service in lieu of the $1,000. He had 6 additional charges that were dropped. So if Nick was to take an Alford plea, this would actually save him a lot of face. He could continue to get on the internet and say he's innocent. That is totally fine. He could maintain that. He could say I'm innocent, but he would just say I just accepted the penalty, and he could save a whole lot of face.
It's Alford plea, criminal or legal mindset, explain well. But basically, you admit that the facts that that if it were to go to trial, the facts that the prosecution has could lead to your conviction, but you're not admitting guilt. You're not saying like, yeah, I did this for sure. You're just saying I agree that the facts that that the court has could convict me. I agree to that, but I don't admit any guilt.
There's a wrinkle in that,
and I think they generally do those for cases where it's would be too much of a pain to really and also what if you do this type of plea, you're still able to, like, if it comes out later that the facts that the county has is wrong, you could be able to sue them, or something like that, if I remember correctly, because if you accept a guilty, like, for example, if you accepted, like, if you accepted a guilty plea where you admitted you're guilty, and it comes but they give you like good good plea where you don't really got any you don't really do any jail time, maybe do some probation for a little bit of time, but then comes out a couple days later that someone lied, the facts were incorrect, blah 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 blah. You couldn't like sue them for any like unjust arrest or anything like that. You couldn't really do anything because you admitted that you were guilty. But with an Alford plea, if you take one of these, you're not admitting guilt, so you could later sue the prosecution for a wrongful arrest and shit like that. Just an example. It's probably a very crude example of why an Alford plea is normally is a good thing to do. And again, like Legal Mindset says, you're technically not guilty. You're just admitting that the courts have enough evidence to take you to trial. Maybe not find you guilty, but to take you to trial. And that could lead to your conviction. You're admitting like, hey, there's enough evidence against me that this could be taken to trial. And and then you just accept the sentence, but you're not admitting guilt. So
I will say I don't know for sure about Minnesota, but typically if you're going to enter a plea and as part of a deal, the prosecution has to agree to those terms.
Correct.
So, for example, the prosecutor might not let him do an Alford plea. Typically, that is a really hard, like getting a chance to like on a felony to do a no contest plea. That's hard. Getting an Alford plea on a felony, it's even harder because a lot of times prosecutors like you're not even admitting guilt. You're not admitting any responsibility. Because a no contest plea is like saying I'm not saying I did it, but an Alford plea is literally saying I only pled guilty to save my ass. Because in Alford, the guy, you're thinking, oh, it's in North Carolina. Yeah, so it was a black guy in like the 60s, and he was accused of murdering people, and they're like, we're going to give him the chair. So he pled guilty, and he said, I'm only pleading guilty to save my ass because I don't want to get executed.
Right.
And that had to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said that's okay. But a lot of judges hate Alford pleas because they're like, well, like the judge can refuse a plea.
And the victim feels like they're not getting justice because they're feeling like the person's getting off the hook because they can publicly say, I'm innocent, right? So what you've got to do to get that is you've really got to humble yourself and you've got to say, hey, look, here's my good case for this. I'm a first-time offender. I'm going to go to rehab. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to fix the situation. You really have to humble yourself for that. So is it a given that Nick gets an Alford plea? Absolutely. Is it possible though? Yes, it is.
It may be possible, but it's probably a very low possibility. It's a very small possibility. I don't see Nick getting an Alford plea at all, especially after disparaging one of the judges. Like, even though it's not the current judge that he has, his new judge, even though it's not the same judge that he disparaged, judges are probably I think a very tight knit group. So even if you say something like they may not hold it against you, like the judge you disparage will, but they probably won't be willing to accept any cushy plea deals or anything like that.
A lot of things, a lot of things are possible. The more realistic thing is he's got some sort of diversion program or something like that. But and that's, people are like, well, why are you just saying like that? I'm like, because that's how this goes. Right. If he doesn't win the search warrant, he doesn't defeat it. That's it. I mean, there is no, well, ladies and gentlemen, this could have been anybody's coke. Like, how do you can't smuggle your way past a jury. You can't go, is it really mine? Do you really know? Right. There is no passive-aggressive Dorito eating defense that a jury goes like, not guilty. Wow, you blew my mind.
Right. There's some crazy thing you've come up with that is
it doesn't work like that.
Because that's the cocaine, right? Because at the core of this, the core charge problem is the possession of the cocaine, right, and ketamine as well, right? That is the core issue here. Not the subsequent firearm charges and the neglect charges, because those would disappear, but for the cocaine. Let me see. Thank you so much, by the way, AG Argento for the 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Do appreciate that. Also, thank you, Sean Vermillion, for becoming a member. And Blue Fire for the late, but congrats on hitting around 50K. Thank you.
Congratulations. I did not get a chance to stop in, but yes, congrats.
Thanks, Sean. So I'm at the point where, I was going to take the questions and go handle that stuff here. But Sean, did you have some more like case law to add in or any other facts to add in from your research?
I mean, that's some of the biggest things here. And I will say, like what Barnes said to Joe was like the biggest thing. Like there are a lot of issues you can look at here, but it's, these weren't anonymous sources. Like the police know who they are.
Correct.
When the pastor could say, I talked to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. I talked to the preschool teacher. I talked to this person. Like those, and you hear Nick, I know who did this. It's like, so you agree they're not like random sources. Like those statements right there are like, that's a statement Nick said. I know who did this to me. I know the people who did this. That's admits like you've already conceded that ground now that these were not anonymous sources. Like who they are. It's like that's great at the suppression hearing.
Right. And we know the identity of the mandatory reporter. We know, in fact, that's the pastor, right? We know that's the person that's required, and it's not something that's covered by it's not covered by any form of privilege. Let me get a couple of these comments here. just some of the larger ones. Redneck Ram said for 20, I saw a rando post on Nick's Locals. You're a snake, Andrew. I mean, we can only see your head and your shoulders, so you might be. Did you hire someone to be your hands on camera to hide your snakiness? Yes, I indeed did. That's entirely my plan. I'm just one giant serpent. Actually, I'm more like a gator.
It's a snake.
Pirate Scout says, I'm not saying Nick was dealing, but the fact he may have been providing substance to April to make a case for that, given it wasn't restricted to personal use between him and Caleb. Well, there's very interesting, I mean, obviously it's aggregated to the larger amount right now. And one thing that is a very important point, which I brought up on somebody else's stream, but it doesn't matter how much of the cocaine was pure. If it was, 75% baking soda, any mixture of cocaine making up that under the Minnesota statute is sufficient. So even if it's not pure cocaine, right, that's able to hit that from what I understand. Now that's one thing I want to look a little bit more into. That's my reading.
That's typically how states do it. But like, for example, about 5-6 years ago in Ohio, an attorney took a case to appeal the case, and they said, well, technically under state law, it says cocaine means only the cocaine, like not the mixture. And the Court of Appeals was like, you know what, attorney man, you're right. So this guy's like 1 kilo of coke turned into like, obviously very simple. What was the actual weight of the coke? Oh, we didn't weigh just the coke alone. We didn't determine how much of it was coke. His conviction got overturned, and within like 6 months, the state legislator fixed that problem. So it typically, yes, that's not an issue, but that's one of the things out there. If I was Nick's attorney, I'd be trying to figure out, can we say like how much of this was coke? Does state law differ? By this point in history, I think they probably have taken care of it, but maybe there is a loophole. Yeah, and once again, that would be a challenging the statute. And anytime, and we talked about this the other time with all the other lawyers, anytime you're in a position where you have to overturn a statute in order to triumph, that is a crazy difficult argument. Once again, is it possible? Sure. I mean, I'm not going to be dishonest here, guys, and say, oh, it's impossible. There's no way. No, yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Yeah. No, not at all. Judges are very risk-averse people. They don't like getting overturned. They don't like rocking the boat. They, these judges are going to say these laws are sound. I believe in the court rulings. So if you're going to have to get the judge to overturn a Supreme Court ruling, you're probably not going to get that. You're probably not going to get somebody willing to do that because they don't want to get smacked down. As a required part of your victory, if your victory requires a statute, a constitutional violation to prevail, you are starting like in the negative, right? You're in your own end zone right at that point. It's not looking good. One day I said, if I got caught with that much cocaine in Florida, I'd be looking at a trafficking charge more than likely. Some people even brought up federal charges. I was pointed out to me apparently that ketamine at any volume is federal. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't familiar. But the people are like, oh, well, could the guns and the drug be federal? Like, they are not going to waste their time. Like the Minnesota U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota has got real problems. Like he's got Somalis scamming welfare at a massive scale. Like he's got guys running around St. Paul and Minneapolis, like running around with guns and drugs. When I was a prosecutor, I went to one of the CLA things we got to go to, and the U.S. attorneys for Ohio were there because there's a northern and southern district, and they laid out what their criteria was for picking up a case like a felon in possession of a gun, and you basically had to violate the equivalent of the Career Armed Criminal Act, which is an actual federal law, the Armed Criminal Career. Like you have to multiple offenses of violent crimes, and did you meet those standards here under state law? Are you a rude boy? If you're one of those guys, then yeah, they'll snap up the case, like send it up to us, we'll take a look at it. Or you've got to be a very political issue. You're Hunter Biden. You're like if Steve Bannon had a little bit, or like FPS Russia. That guy. And as much as some people have talked about the government conspiracy theory and the changing Minnesota politics, I do not think Nick Rekieta rises to that level of political infamy. No. I mean, he's speaking out against the power. It's like, yeah. No. Yeah. Lauren says, wow, don't advise Portugal. They beat you up and steal your purses. You just have to avoid the British guys in yeah, just stay clear. Just stay clear. Yeah. No, go ahead. No, I was going to say a lot of these laws out there, a lot of these gun laws that are kind of like ticky-tack and having the right amount of conversion, U.S.-made parts in your guns, and a lot of things that are out there. You're not going to get caught on those unless they want to catch you on them. Like, let's say Obama comes, like Joe Biden's coming by your house and you do the Joe the Plumber thing, or you embarrass him. Yeah, great. Now you're on the radar of the government and they're going to look for ways to screw with you. But if you're just doing your thing, like he is not the target of things. Now, if he had been running around screaming about the U.S. Attorney's Office, yeah, that could happen. Right. Ranky said, belief in a law doesn't invalidate a law. If it did, we wouldn't have trials, law, or civilization. Fact is law necessary for compromise of society. I mean, that's sovereign citizens, right? Sovereign citizens not acknowledging the authority of the court, right? That's what leads to these crazy, the crazy trials that we've seen with sovereign citizens. That's what makes those insane because they're not acknowledging the legitimacy of the institution. Ugly Dan says, as much as this doesn't fit, it does. This screams Steve-O and Bam Margera not knowing why they were canceled from Jackass. You can't support him while he's killing himself. Much love, bro. Well, much love back to you. But yeah, I mean, it's to me, when some people say, well, you've got to back up a quote unquote friend no matter what, it's like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean, if they're an addict that I am like handing them the needle? Like, I think being a friend says, get your shit together and I'll be here for you. Right. That's what I think a friend does. Right. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see here. What was this? Pie Baker says, Sean Andrew, I need legal advice. An OnlyFans thought that promised 5K pay pig, she'd give him a gift of 5K. Years later, she did nothing. She promised a 75K, 24-hour stream in 5 years, nothing. What chances does this garden equipment have in a class action? Wow. Yeah.
You're probably not a sympathetic case. I'm not gonna lie. Simping for OnlyFans girls is not gonna be a sympathetic class. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and you're gonna go look for a class action attorney, and you pick it up, and and he picks up the phone. He's like, okay, what's your issue? Oh, well, it happened on the internet. Click.
She didn't send me feet pics.
Yeah. Click.
That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Carlo, we know he's not talking about OnlyFans. We know what he's talking about.
Sure. Shuri Novella Novel at Night says, you're covering something else, but thought I add some positivity. I wonder if you cover the announcement, if it's not okay. Let me point here. How Live English Live, World Tour Singapore. Love. Hey, shout out to Singapore. Appreciate you. And yeah, I'll get back to other topics in the future. Actually, next stream will be on Disney. The one after that will be YouTubing. So, I'm jumping around. It's stuff I like and enjoy. So don't worry if, you're here because you like my other coverage. We'll get back to it shortly. Okay, before I get to the rest of these, because a lot of these are kind of random, I think we should watch the Law and Crime bit. Have you seen this, Sean? Oh, Sean, you're muted. Maybe intentionally muted himself. Hold on, let me private chat him. Make sure he knows he's muted. Right.
Oh, sorry, I'm back.
No, you're good, bro. All right. Well, I think we're gonna watch a Law and Crime stuff because this is very interesting. Now, real quick, for those who don't know, Law and Crime does have beef with Nick Rekieta. They legitimately tried to copyright strike him.
They did it to me once.
Really?
Yes. Way back, there was this trial. This crazy guy in New Jersey. There was a horse trainer, and he tried to kill a couple of people. And in the middle of the trial, the judge is like, if I hear about more people streaming this, I'm going to stop. And I was streaming and Law and Crime copy striked me. And I was out for a week and I just started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was back in the day.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So I remember that. And by the way, people who make your unloyal mindset, I supported Nick completely against Law and Crime and their copyright cuckoldry and everything else. I mean, partly because, yes, all of us lawyers want to stream trials, right? Full confession, right? Even me, at some point, I will stream trials. I'll probably stream snipe other people like Sean or Vice's while they're streaming trials because I think that's more fun. But at some point, all of us are going to stream some trials. It's just going to happen. So we all want to do it, and Nick fought against them. Now, so
we're all streaming Nick's trial. Let's be honest. We're all going to be streaming Nick's trials. Let's be real.
They definitely have a beef. But
what I want to get a lawyer and everything at one point, write him a letter and stuff.
Correct. So what I want to analyze is, are Law and Crime giving him a fair shake? Are they bringing up fair points? Or are they stating things grossly inaccurate? Right. So let's go with this. It's only 14 minutes.
You may know him from his online legal commentary, but YouTuber and attorney Nick Rekieta is in some legal trouble of his own. We break down his arrest, the search warrant, and the charges he's now facing, which could potentially result in prison time. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Okay, I hope that their little music, they're like dun 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 dun, is not copyrighted. I really do. And obviously, this is for the point of legal commentary, so fair use.
We're also commenting. Well, no, I'll comment on. I think using the guy in handcuffs is stock footage, which hopefully they have the copyright license.
Hopefully,
yes, I mean that makes it all scary, flashy, and dashy, and it's the seriousness of it all. Yes, it presents a different voice setting than Turkey Tom going, well, here's what happened to Nick Rekieta.
Right, yeah, Turkey
Although
Tom.
I love Turkey Tom. He did a really good job for a crash course in this.
And honestly, to be clear, I actually might, I thought about maybe recording that and a reaction to Turkey Tom and posting it, maybe on my locals or somewhere. But, he actually brought up some facts I never knew about Nick, right? And I've known Nick for a while, and there's things I had no idea about. So there was some stuff in that documentary I actually learned, which was interesting. But let's continue.
Hey, everybody, this is a Law and Crime legal alert. Google Incognito track users' browsing data without their knowledge. Yep, well, Mass Tort Alliance, one of our legal sponsors.
Okay, let's just kind of skip this over here, right? Let's go ahead to the beef here, all right.
Nick Rekieta. Now, this is a name you may have heard of before. Why do I say that? Online personality, Minnesota lawyer, legal commentator, runs the YouTube page Rekieta Law that currently has 446,000 subscribers. Really came to fame for his legal analysis of trials like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and Kyle Rittenhouse.
Before that, Vic Mignogna and the Maddox lawsuit, right? Mm-hmm. So that's part of the lore. And yes, I wasn't around for the Maddox days or really the Vic days. I only caught the very, very tail end of that when they ultimately lost, right? But that's, it's a series of things that you come up. And I see it on my channel too, by the way, right? It wasn't just a lot of people try to say, well, Nick made you. Well, Nick did help at a certain point in my YouTube career, right? Just like he helped my friend Legal Vices, right? And other folks, right? But, of my 150K subs, right? I would say about 130K, maybe even 140K, came from my blood, sweat, and tears, So, Nick had multiple events he covered, right? So, for me, it was Disney and VTubing, right? For Nick, it was Dick Masterson and Maddox, Vic Mignogna, Kyle Rittenhouse, and then Amber Heard.
And clearly, he has developed quite the following. But now, Mr. Rekieta finds himself in the spotlight for not a great reason. No, he and his wife, Kayla, were arrested and charged with felony second-degree drug possession, as well as two misdemeanors of child.
It's very obvious they were doing something. Just look at Kayla. I've already brought up all that, but God, it's so hard to see. It's so weird just to see the difference in their appearance.
Endangerment and firearms.
Also explains why she hasn't appeared on camera for quite a while.
Possession. And in a search warrant application that was filed in connection with this case, We learned a lot.
By the way, I don't know what the fuck room he's in right now. This is kind of a weird looking room. I don't know what they're going here with here, but just saying law and crime. Yeah. It's
make a studio.
Yeah, like a
room closet.
I mean, you guys have a lot of money, like serious money. You're not people that are streaming from like your,
I feel like that's a personal attack on me. No.
Your random office.
More details, and that is what we're going to go through now, this search warrant. So this warrant was authored by Minnesota Peace Officer Detective Quinn Pomplin, and he writes that essentially there is probable cause to believe that controlled substances like meth and cocaine and other drug paraphernalia are located at Rekieta's house, and he wants to conduct a search of that property between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. And from there, the rest of the document lays out the timeline of events. So Pomplin writes that on May 16, 2024, Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Dave Nestor received a report regarding possible child neglect and controlled substance use at Rekieta's home. Rekieta had been living there with his wife and 5 children, ages 6 to 16. And apparently, by the way, this report originated from people who attended Rekieta's church. We're going to get into that in a second. But there's also an allegation that the Reketas had a, quote, questionable relationship with another couple. And this is where Pomplin describes Aaron and April Imholte. And according to Pomplin, the Reketas had befriended the Imholtes, who apparently are personalities from an online show called the Steel Toe Morning Show. But Pomplin says it's possible that this couple had a falling out with the Reketas. Apparently, the Imholtes were staying with the Reketas in their home, a home that was reportedly cluttered and in disarray.
Dang.
In fact, a church.
Yeah, that's where with all this, like, is the throuple stuff relevant? It's like, well, it becomes relevant, right? Like
it becomes relevant, but I also think they're like, we don't want to get sued.
Right. So they're being very, very careful about it, right? And there's a question about, actually a really good question, and I want you to answer this because I've kind of answered this afterwards about Aaron that we'll get to later, because I see one of your questions on Aaron and like the admissibility of what Aaron has said so far, right? Because he said a lot. He said a whole lot. Let's continue with this here.
Preschool teacher reported that these children that I had mentioned had complained of being hungry, not being provided food, and were wearing the same clothes for days. As for Mr. Rekieta, he was apparently lethargic and appeared high or drugged driving a car around. The document goes on to state, quote, another individual advised the reporter that Nicholas will walk out randomly during sermons at church and have noticed behavioral changes in him. It was alleged that Kayla looks anorexic, and Nicholas has lost a substantial amount of weight recently. One individual describes Nicholas as having injection or track marks on his arms. So with that, Pomplin explains that he started looking at Rekieta's online videos where he noticed that the YouTuber's appearance had seemed to change over recent months, namely that, yes, he appears tired and, quote, strung out.
Right. So that's, once again, that's the officer looking at this and through his training and experience saying, yep, he's kind of lining up right here.
And I still, everybody agrees he looks different. And this isn't a situation where it's like, okay, reasonable minds could differ. Like, no, there's a big change. Like, these are all obvious changes. And that's going to be that's what makes this stuff stronger. It's like, it's a very clear change.
And the fact that casual users, the fact that people just who are random YouTubers, not law tubers, not addiction specialists, and not whatever, just the average observer, right? Like if I ask my mom, I'm like, Mom, what do you think? Like they're gonna be, yeah, no, he's definitely, there's something going on here, right? No, I mean, when you're a reasonable, objective person and you look at Nick a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and people have done the picture by picture lineup. Maybe I'll find that at some point, sometime down during these proceedings. But when you look at that, the reasonable person will say, yeah, well, there's something going on here right now.
Legal mindset. What are you talking about, man? He lost all that weight by not eating by cutting out snacking and doing some exercise. He lost all that weight. What are you talking about? That wasn't from the cocaine.
There could be a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. He could be suddenly going to the gym and he could be on TRT or taking steroids or whatever, right? It's possible, right? There could be a completely legal reason, right? Or there could be something else going on.
Let's actually go back to the Imholtes, that couple I mentioned. Well, Pomplin explains that Aaron indicated on his social media that he and his wife were planning on getting a divorce, and he himself had experimented with cocaine and Molly multiple times. In fact, it appears the Imholtes had broadcast one of their podcast shows from December, seemingly out of the Rekieta home. Pomplin explains that in recent videos, April
not seemingly, actually
tired and quote, strung out. But in other videos, Aaron seems to suggest that Nicholas Rekieta has substance abuse issues and needs help. Pomplin says that he reviewed a video of Rekieta from May 21st, 2024, where he's allegedly drinking and appears under the influence and has to close one eye to read the screen, rambles, slurs his words. And at one point, Pomplin says that Rekieta seems to have a white powdery substance on his nose after coming back from the bathroom. Now,
look, that was baking powder, goddammit. Baking powder.
It's important to note that Pomplin highlights at one point in this search warrant that at one point in time, he was a drug recognition evaluator for several years. So it seems that maybe this could be a way that he is trying to qualify himself to the court as someone who has the training and experience to detect possible symptoms.
Can we pause this right here? Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to get hard on you. But I will say, like, this guy, as much as, people like hate him when he pops up when the trials go to break. He's reading this, like, you can tell, look at his face, he's like, oh my God, this is really serious. This is horrible.
But so far, though, Sean, nothing he has said here has been scandalous, right? No. So like, as much as like, oh, law and crime, they're horrible, they're copyright cucks, all this, we can agree with all that. Hell, they may even put a copyright strike on this. Who the hell knows, right? But that being said, Has anything they've said been wildly inaccurate as to what was reported? No, in fact, he's been super milquetoast.
But I'm just saying, this guy's a normie ultimately.
Correct.
He's reading this, and this is disturbing to him. So all these people out here, like, sweeping it up, getting it all, like, guys, the average person is not going to be sweeping here.
Well, I guess that's a very good point, especially, on Nick's channel. People got used to arguing, especially with, people like Dick and other folks, arguing the most ridiculous points, these like extreme positions, right? Like on the internet, particularly if you're on Twitter or other places, you're used to arguing like really heinous things, right? Yeah. But normal people, normies, they're like, this stuff is beyond the pale. Like, we're not here arguing whether it's okay to do drugs around your children, right? This is something that, people on the internet are having this argument now. This is like a big thing back and forth. Morally, is it okay? Right? Also, like, are your kids responsible for taking care of themselves at the age of 6, right? Yeah. Like, most normal people are going to have a different response to that than your dudes on the internet.
Right? Yeah, and it's well, like I said, you're not going to convince a jury of 12 random people in rural Minnesota, hey, cocaine should be legal. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get. I mean, just what? Yeah, I'll just leave that alone there.
Yeah, you're not. It's very difficult to convince them. So I'll play a little bit more of this. I won't play the whole thing, but we'll go at least halfway through, just because I want to stay out of the IFR on here.
Yeah,
but let's move on. So the search was actually conducted, and according to a property inventory sheet that was also authored by Pomplin, and according also to local reporting, here is a sampling of what was found in the Rekieta house. Baggies and containers that tested positive for cocaine, multiple tablets that tested positive for ketamine, a digital scale, other items that had a white substance on them, like a $100 bill, a metal pan, a Ziploc with multiple small baggies. And a lot of this, by the way, reportedly found in the master bedroom, where according to local reporting, that is where Rekieta allegedly told police he and his wife had stayed. There was also...
Sorry. I just wanted to... Oh, no.
Pan, a Ziploc with multiple small baggies. And a lot of this, by the way.
Like, look at Kayla here. Like, look at her. She's like, and then, you'll see later on. Just keep that image in her mind. Just keep that image in your mind of her.
Reportedly found in the master bedroom, where according to local reporting, that is where Rekieta allegedly told police he and his wife had stayed. There was also a Sig Sauer 380 handgun, magazines with ammo, and spent shell casings and a loose bullet and ammunition. That was
and real quick on the firearm charges, I know I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't like them. I don't like that people are generally charged for way too much with firearms, but that's the way the law is structured. I don't know if you have...
it's all bullshit. Okay, cool.
Still,
I should be able to have a crate full of AK-47s in my garage. Okay, but I also know I'm going to go to prison if I do it.
Right. Like, theoretically, yes, I do believe that should be legal. I do believe you should be able to have a fully automatic, right? I do believe that's something you should be able to. But if somebody asks me, can you? The answer is no, right? And you're an irresponsible lawyer. You're an irresponsible lawyer for trying to argue elsewise, or trying to say, oh yeah, you have a chance. Like, giving somebody hope and gassing them up to pretend they have a chance to like independently overthrow this. Now, I want to say one thing real quick about the firearms charge. There is a case, United States versus Rahimi, or Rahimi. It's not been decided on yet.
There's also a Fifth Circuit case that said nonviolent felons, in the issues about 922G.
Rahimi was domestic violence related charges, so it's a little bit different. So they may be more sympathetic to that, and they may not actually rule in the favor on that.
Rahimi's going to go down in flames, though. I listened to the oral arguments. It was really bad.
It was bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, so if you get an L on Rahimi, it's not looking good for Nick with his, with a 2A constitutional argument, all the way up to the Supreme Court. The facts wouldn't look good. So yes, there's the Fifth Circuit argument as well, but once again,
he's not the Fifth Circuit, is the issue.
Yeah, it's not really going to help you immediately. It'd be another separate case. Because Minnesota statute is not currently being challenged, right? These other statutes, even Rahimi, are not one-to-one with his case. It's a different statute. So trying to apply that would be a little bit of a stretch, at the least.
As well as a Remington shotgun and a Springfield Armory 45 1911 handgun.
I mean, I have an 870.
When the warrant was executed on May 23rd, police were greeted by a girl who allegedly wouldn't let police in, and Rekieta allegedly...
Which, by the way, I'll just say this. I think that's a good policy, right? I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying don't let strangers in the house, right?
Yeah.
And it's... To be fair, right?
Yeah, and I remember that because, anybody could say, "Sweetheart, I'm a policeman." It's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I mean, as a child, right, you're going to be able to decipher that. No, let the adults handle that.
Although you don't know which kids are the older ones,
right? But even so, I mean, even honestly, even if it was a 14 or 16-year-old, I'd say, look, just don't let.
I agree. I agree, but you might be able to convince an older kid to let you
in. Maybe.
So that's when police apparently had to use a door ram to barge into the property. Also, reporting indicates that Rekieta didn't answer questions regarding the suspected cocaine. Now, we can't independently verify that, but if that is true, perhaps that wouldn't be so surprising because people in that situation may not want to say too much at that point. Remember, you have the right to remain silent. By the way, we also can't confirm the status of the
Which, by the way, Nick partially waived because he went outside and said several things, such as he said that he sleeps in the master bedroom. He also made the statement that April was his friend, right? And that was contradicted by the statement of Kayla, who said that she was the live-in nanny. Right?
Mhm.
So you have two contradicting statements, and also they said that she was just visiting. So that's impeachable there on Nick. Okay, who's the one here who is telling the truth? What's the reality here?
Yeah.
Right? Does anything you said on locals, on YouTube, on anywhere else on the internet, does that contradict what's out there? I don't know. Does what Aaron said contradict that? Who knows?
Of that home, or if child protective services were called, or where they are, or anything like that. Just want to make that point clear. But now let me talk to you about the criminal charges here. So Mr. Rekieta had a virtual hearing, and it seems that at this time, as he indicated to the court, he's representing himself. Maybe not surprising considering he is in fact an attorney. Now, we've seen in other cases of attorneys getting into trouble with the law where they retain outside counsel, either because they maybe aren't familiar with criminal law as much as their own practice, or it can even...
Okay, so let me stop here for a second. Actually, this is a good place to stop because I want to bring up a good point.
Yeah.
So, because the rest of it is just going over what we've already covered. So Nick did cover himself for the purpose of the arraignment. But one thing that's been brought up, and this is something that's a recent fact, is Kayla apparently does not have an attorney yet. So there were some people speculating. I think I originally saw this in the farm, so I'll give them the credit for bringing it up originally, but I've seen other people on YouTube and Twitter mention it as well. Is that Nick may be acting as a jailhouse attorney, so to say, right?
Yeah, well, when your documents are literally identical and your email address is, I mean, yeah, that's not a good look.
Was it the same?
Yeah, like when Nick and Kayla's things are literally carbon copies of each other.
Okay, well,
so it's like, yeah, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it could be a problem, but yeah, the case is Johnson versus Avery, which does allow you to have someone ghostwrite your stuff, right? And the interest is saying that if we didn't allow people to kind of ghostwrite your stuff, then the poor and illiterate would be at a disadvantage because they wouldn't have legal services.
And the funny thing is, I ghostwrite for other attorneys. I've written appeals for other attorneys. I've like, hey, what's this document, that? That happens. That's not an issue. It's just when you're going to do that, don't leave your name and your information all over the other documents, because then that looks like you're screwing around. And the issue, and Nick is right, I will give him credit where he is correct on things. Representing yourself at like your basic arraignment hearing, everybody does that. Like otherwise, like I need an attorney. Well, then it gets continued, and then you sit in jail. You can be there and say, "Look, yeah, I have a job. Like if you let me out, I can go work." Like pretty much a lot of people deal with that, and then they get cut loose. So for him, that part wasn't weird to represent himself, but he's still doing it. That's the part where I'm like.
And again, this is from 10 days ago. Now I just looked it up. He does have an attorney of his own, I believe.
It's like, come on, buddy.
It's been like 2 weeks, man.
Right. And we'll see.
I do like Eric Folmes' comment, though, from the report. Rekieta also went on for 45 minutes how stressful his life was to the officers.
I mean, yeah, and once again, it's like, oh, you had a stressful life, so, were you doing anything to take the edge off of that?
That's meant to be a joke. No.
Well, no, but that's the quote from Aaron, right? And let me get to this one, because this is the question that I want to segue to, because it's a very good question, and I've actually had some folks ask this question. This is from Epic Fantasy earlier for Australian. Crikey! 5, who said, are Aaron can't make a woman come a multi's revelations admissible or relevant, if true? So how much of what Aaron has said do you think could be used at trial and would be used at trial, Sean?
Well, just getting to the search warrant, you have to have indicia of reliability there and truthfulness. Is Aaron reliable? Aaron says a lot of things that appear to be true, but he also says a lot of bullshit. Aaron's very self-serving. Aaron, yes, tries to show he's the cleanest piece of shit in the toilet. So, and I agree. Like he came out of there looking like I'm the hero. Or I'm the least guilty man. He
has made statements that, if not directly contradicting, are very, very close to it. In the terms of, I don't think both of these things can be true at the same time.
Yes.
Right.
And the thing today about the whole text message from Kayla, I'm like, that just smells like bullshit to me.
But once again, to me, my big thing for Aaron is, if he ever was a witness, and frankly, I think that plea deal is the most likely thing. I think we never do a trial. But if he was a witness, he's a super impeachable witness now, because he said so much bullshit on the public record. Everything he said, he can be cross-examined.
He could be called to the stand in the suppression hearing, that omnibus hearing.
Sure.
So that's where, yes, but like if I was the attorney, if I was Nick's attorney, I'd be like, now, Mr. M. Holt. Start using my
Why is he a Southern attorney? Like,
I don't know.
Mr. M. Holt.
Attorney. Yeah. Mr. M. Holt, is it true that you said you can't make a woman come? Is it true that you had to borrow a Viagra? You gave my client a Viagra or a Cialis. Is it true my client cocked you? Isn't it true you were out there sweeping it up, being Alice from the Brady Bunch? A bunch of that's going to get objected to, like that you can't make women come. Although, if I'm the prosecutor,
it will get under his skin. It will get under his skin.
Oh, sure it would. But also, on the other hand, if he says, yeah, I said that, it's like, why would I say that? That's a statement against it. You could argue it's a statement against interest. I couldn't make my wife come. That's a horribly embarrassing statement. You wouldn't say if it wasn't true.
Right.
That gives, on the other hand, me, like, if I was a prosecutor, I'm like, you said all this stuff, right? It's all true. Yeah. Why would you say something like that unless it was true? You wouldn't embarrass yourself like that unless it was true. So there are a lot, you see, it doesn't take much to flip. You can flip this shit around and go back and forth with it. And there's a million different ways to go here. But yes, to start going down that road, the judge might say, like, counsel approach and say, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why should I not hold you in contempt right now? Like, you would need to approach and say, Your Honor, I'm going to ask some very sexual questions about sexually explicit things, because if you just start belting that out in the courtroom, like, and it's not part of the issue at hand or has been in the lead up to it,
you're gonna get in some problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lemcon Gold, thank you for the $50 super sticker.
Nice.
Appreciate that. Nick Cruiser says, is he getting a jury or is it too small of a town? Because it's a felony, they get elevated scrutiny. How does it work? I'm not sure I heard the specific detail.
I mean, I don't know Minnesota specifically, but they're gonna pick people out of the community.
I mean, at this point, we're not at trial yet, so the judge is ruling on all the preliminary motions, the omnibus hearing. So
I think it just means if he got to a jury, how would that work? It's like they pick people out of the county. There's 40,000 people. I mean, there's counties like in Ohio. There's a county of 13,000 people in it. Guess what? You go to trial in that county, you're gonna get 12 jurors drawn out of that 13,000 person pool.
Yep. Let's get a couple here. Restless Megan has been in EMS for almost a decade and a medic for a long time. I think Nick is going to have a hard time reputing the DRE. You know, when you know the signs of polysubstance abuse, it can identify the types of substance. It's hard to deny. So this is a person who knows the type of experience the police officer would have because they're in, first responder. Yeah. So they're saying, hey, look, this is going to be a hard presumption to rebut because these people know their shit.
Yeah. And I've said this before, like when I talked about like DUI cases. It's one thing if the police give you a field sobriety test and, they're going to lie. It's like, oh, yeah, they looked intoxicated. Okay. But let's say you're so drunk they open the door and you fall out of the car on your face.
Right.
Nick is not that bad, but it's pretty close. Like, you don't need to be a DRE. Like, there's no subtleties to it. It's very obvious what's going on.
Now, some people who don't have experiences with the particular substances or haven't seen somebody. I mean, I've seen a person who is addicted to similar substances, including cocaine, who was going through withdrawal. They near put a knife to my throat when they perceived me as getting between them and their drugs, right? So people going through withdrawal, particularly off these things.
Wow.
That was a crazy time in Miami.
I was about to say, it sounds like,
They thought I was blocking the door.
That's a Wednesday afternoon in Miami.
Right. Yeah, they thought I was blocking the door for their stuff. And we had a time where the cops, were knocking on the door because they were smelling pot. It was a crazy time. But anyways, this is it's not, which is also why internet words don't really scare you after you've had sharp objects waved in your face, But yeah, no, it's the ability to, bend the situation and to think about it differently is, very intense when you're in that state of mind. Your mind is severely altered. Nicholas Cruiser, Riser, said, Turkey Tom's Rekieta video was pretty dope if anybody ain't seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was honestly well put together. I learned something. I learned,
supposed Kiwi Farms 1 through 99.
He said it a lot of Kiwi Farms, though. He said it a lot of Kiwi Farms, which, once again, they've got the logs, right? So, and it seemed
the catalog. Yes.
It seemed like what he was citing wasn't like pure speculation, that he was citing stuff that was backed up. So, once again, there's a random post with no citations, and there's a post with proof and pictures and everything else that you can look up yourself and independently verify, right? And if it's independently verifiable, for all those that have beef with Kiwi Farms, well, if they've said something and it's independently verifiable, it doesn't matter who it's coming from, which is my argument against credentialism, right? If you say, oh, well, I've got XYZ credentials, well, okay, that's fine, but how is the point incorrect, right? If you've got the same data or information. So if Kiwi Farms gets the body cam video, it's the body cam video, right? It is what it is. And I did see people arguing about this was kind of a stupid argument. I did see people saying that, oh, they're going to show the children. And that was one of the most ridiculous arguments ever.
No, they want to see the kids. No, we want to see the house.
Well, both the police would definitely censor the children, and then beyond that, I believe Kiwi Farm, I believe Josh said himself that he would censor it if they weren't. So I mean, like even if there was a shadow of a doubt,
there's all kinds of privacy laws regarding the children. That's the reason why some of those documents got leaked without all the names of the kids. Whoever did that is in a world of crap.
They really fucked up. They really fucked up on that one. I'm Brett for Canadian Five says, I think that Aaron is deliberately making himself seem incredible so he can be easily impeached. I don't think he wants to be involved. That's a theory. I mean,
there's easier ways to say, I'm not talking. You get called in. I assert my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Boom, done. There's easier ways.
Icelandic Sephiroth says, that damn Eric July in his comments are to blame for this. Now he's controlling law and crime. Someone stop him. Probably Ethan Van Sciver right now. Yes. That's hilarious. Terry said, Sean, do not take offense to the weight comments. They're coming from a man who's up his nose weight loss plan, cost him his kids. Sad.
Oh, I don't take offense to them. I just think if that's what you got, it's the limpest of the limp dick arguments. Like, okay, I'm fat. Okay.
How is your legal point? Right. Like,
I'd rather be fat than stuck in that situation right now. I'll tell you that much.
Right. And my eye can be lazier than eating a bucket full of Korean fried chicken, but that doesn't make me convicted of felony charges for drug possession and child neglect.
Yes, I would rather have a kimchi cracker box law degree than felony drug charges right now.
Like, I'll take the kimchi cracker box every single day. Benjamin says, could Nick use the Willis Nelson defense and split the weight in half between him and Kayla?
They possess it together.
Yeah.
It's the same way, and this is not real, but I'm just going to, the same way, like if this is a fake, there's a firearm in a car.
Oh no,
everybody possesses it. You can't possess half the gun. So if you're all prohibited from possessing it, well, who possessed it? Well, whoever was in the ability and had dominion and control over it, which could be everybody in the car. It could only be the guys in the back seat. It could be one person. A lot of people can possess an item.
Yep.
So
let's see here. Tiny's Muse says, this whole situation saddens me. I watched Nick a lot at the beginning of the Vic case and he fell off. Seeing some of his recent clips hurt viscerally. Yeah. And, a lot of people had the same feeling. And a lot of the people that are quote unquote the trolls and haters are people who loved Nick. Shout out to my good friend Dragon's Trader. He was a really like a collaborator, whatever, with Nick, and he just said, I'm done. And he said, I've seen this, I'm done. And it's not because he hates Nick. It's because there's a certain point at which you come to where you're like, well, I can't be associated or latched onto this, with my product and my brand, for example, right? In the case of Dragon's Trader. Chugi Show says, I'm surprised the pets were left by police. Previous cases I've read about the family also taking pet and animal control being called until the owners were released.
Well, remember though, when they got done with the raid, they sat there with Kayla and said, call your family. And then the grandparents and the other family showed up, and then the cops took her. So I'm sure, and if you read the report, the actual narrative, the grandparents, Kayla's parents came, they took the kids, they locked up the house. So I'm sure they said, can you take care of the dog? And they probably took care of the dog, and that was that.
Interesting question from Daniel Yaga, who says, what do you guys think drops first, the traffic stop footage or the home search footage? Are there any legal hangups of releasing either? I think they're going to be at the same time. I think they're going to process all of it. But I mean, in terms of like legal hangups, I mean, obviously there's more going on. There's more kids in the house. And so there might be more to censor there. However, apparently there was a kid in the car at the traffic stop, so there might be some censoring there as well.
That's going to be all part of it. Are you guys talking about those traffic stops, or are you talking about the two where he got tickets?
Oh, no, that's separate. I mean, if there's a petition out on those, I'm not even sure. Sean, is there a petition out to get the?
I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, that traffic stop is going to be that's all part of the search.
Right.
Like, that's all part of their execution of the search warrant. So it's all
let's be clear here.
Together.
Let's be clear to make so everybody understands where we're coming from. So on the day of the search, Nick was stopped while driving his car.
Yes.
Right. So, but however, on a separate day, in fact, maybe a couple weeks or a month earlier or something like that,
Nick has like 4 speeding tickets, 4 or 5. Yeah, no, 4 speeding tickets. I think he's paid them all or something like that. He's had like a lot of speeding tickets, and then some no proof of insurance, stuff of that nature. And then one where he was being a dick to the cop. So.
Was caught speeding. It was maybe even a couple months. I don't know. It was before this. Nick was caught speeding. So there obviously would be some sort of body cam footage from his speeding ticket, right? But that's the footage we're not sure about, because that's prior footage, it's prior to his arrest. Whether or not anybody's requested that, I don't know. I guess they could theoretically, right? But that would make it a more interesting question. Yeah, that is an interesting question.
Yeah. Also, somebody in chat was like, "Read a case, State v. Hinton." There were confidential. I don't know, but it's like confidential informants. Like we don't have.
Let's see. He has. Let's see. He has 1 speeding ticket. He was convicted of 1 speeding ticket. 70s speeding 70. No insurance. Display expired. Weaving over lanes and lines. Then he has another speeding ticket. So he has 1 speeding ticket on April 8th, and then another speeding ticket April 1st. He had expired registration, no proof of insurance. Let's see. Then he had a speeding ticket March 26th, speeding 65, expired registration. And then he has another speeding ticket, speeding in a 65. So yeah,
potential informants. We have people we can identify.
Right.
So in all the cases, going back, like they cite Gates and State v. Pseudo, like there's. Yeah, I don't know. Like somebody said, like, well, in the counter record of things, I'm like, or counter argument. I'm like, I don't know. Like, tell me what do you want me to counter argue? Like, it's a snitch talking about some guy selling drugs and having guns. Like that case, they're talking about the reliability of the snitch and their track record. Well, that's when you have informants. These aren't informants. These are people you can identify, and you don't have that same issue.
And looking at State v. Hinton, I mean, unless it's a different State v. Hinton, the Minnesota State v. Hinton, right? It looks like they're going with the totality of the circumstances approach, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
And that's where, and you guys can, when it comes to these cases, like what's the base of their knowledge, their civic information? Well, they're saying specifically these kids are like being neglected. These people are acting like they're on drugs. But you've got to focus, not exactly like for like, but you have to be careful, because when you're dealing with some snitch that's feeding info, they have to be able to say, this snitch has been giving me information, confidential informant 25. He's been with us for 10 years, and he has been banger on the whole time. Like, he's 90% accurate. Cool. This one's different. We know all the people involved.
Right.
So you lose a lot of that, well, how reliable is the information? Because these people are putting their name on it. And there's the idea that if you're actively saying who you are, there's a big indicia of reliability, because you're being truthful. Like, you wouldn't just come out and say it was me if it's a lie.
And you can be confronted in court, right? Ultimately, right? That's the confrontation clause there.
Yeah.
So let's nice one.
That one before, so.
No, all good. Yeah, State versus, and by the way, in State versus Hinton, they ultimately sided with the state. So once again, look at the holdings. Look what you're actually trying to take out of that case. You're probably, just because you find one line or one reference in there doesn't mean that's going to be your silver bullet, right? That's going to win you you the day. But by the way, though, I will say this. You know what, Sean? I would rather people give me 12 bad legal citations that we can go through and examine. I will do that all day. I'll take it all day versus another bunch of tired, lame ad hominem attacks, right? So if you want to give me cases, give them to me all day, even if they're irrelevant. That's awesome. Like, I want to incentivize that. Dude, I prefer that.
Well, MR, you're saying it knocks Aaron out. Well, Aaron says a lot of bullshit, but he says a lot of shit that's true, though. That's where it cuts. Like, Aaron says a lot of crazy things, but are the things he does say, though, are true? Yeah, he says a lot of shit that is true and is verified.
Right.
So, and the other thing, though, Aaron's like you'd have trouble with is if you're going to try to prove him wrong and show he's full of shit, you're going to have to basically air out all your fucking dirty business. You know what I mean? Like,
right. You're going to have to say, well,
isn't it true you fucked my wife? It's like, you really want to go down that road in court?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it true? You're going to smuggle your way through. Like, do you really want to like stab yourself that hard to get over on Aaron? Because
after you've made repeated public statements, I mean, Sean, I'm not exaggerating. Nick and his wife have throughout the years denied any sort of lifestyle like this. Is that a correct, fair statement?
That's true. Yeah. That like, we're the trad, where it's all good. But Aaron's not on oath on the podcast. You're right, Mimi. But his statements are, if they're prior inconsistent statements. Because here's what's gonna happen. Did you say this on your show? Yeah. Did you say this? Have you said that? Have you said that? Have you said that? If he says no, I can say, oh, okay, so that's not you. Click, play. Blah 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 blah. That was you, right? So you can try to chisel away at things, but you're gonna have to get. Isn't it true this is all wrong, or isn't it true like me and you were humping too? It's like, do you really want to go down that road of like what that's gonna reveal?
But and ultimately, Sean, even if you went down that road, the search warrant was used for the possession of cocaine. The statement that they're relying on, the statement that's material is Aaron says, Nick is using cocaine along with his wife and along with his mistress, former whatever nanny friend, whatever it is, hot friend, whatever it is. Like he's saying that. So the detective is just relying on that fact. He's not relying on proof of a throuple in order to go in. That's not necessary to go into the house.
He doesn't need to know the full lore. He doesn't need to know every statement Aaron's made. There's no obligation. He searched out everything Aaron said. Aaron's screaming about cocaine, Nick using cocaine in his house, doing cocaine in Nick's house, having the bullet, all that stuff. And it's like, that's enough. Like, that's good enough. Remember, guys, this is Robert Barnes saying, oh, well, probable cause is a high standard. It's an extremely low standard. It's not that high. Yes, do cops abuse?
Okay, all right, we'll be right back. Just real quick. All right, sorry about that. I had to toss some diapers upstairs. Infamous diapers.
Probable cause.
Sure.
Bunch. But guys, this is not one of those times we can literally we've watched it. This isn't where we're just reading words on paper. You can literally go see half of their probable cause online.
And we are going to see the body cam footage, which I'm very confident is going to reveal, right, that when you walk inside, you're going to see the paraphernalia, the snort tubes, the cocaine, the ketamine that is described in the evidence. I don't think it's going to be, people say, oh, well, it's going to be spick and spam and there's going to be no drugs anywhere. No, that's not what the body. If you're hoping that the body cam shows nothing, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Now, other people, some Nick defenders, have said, oh, well, you guys are saying it's breaking bad.
You're saying the neglect is not admissible for the warrant unless it's verified. No, that's not the totality of the circumstances. These people are acting like people who do drugs. And guess what? We have video of a guy doing drugs on camera.
Drugs in Minnesota leads to a presumption of neglect.
Yes. Well, and we know, how many times, how many children's services cases are out there? Because, Mom, it's not Kids don't get taken from the home because mom and dad are playing heckin' Star Wars Battlefront too much. They're taken from the home because mom and dad are doing drugs. That's why. That's why.
Shout out to Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah. Or dad's too busy building his Millennium Falcon Legos. No.
Or because of the Sonichu medallion.
I think a lot of people are more curious when it comes to the body cam footage. I think we all want to just see the state of the neglect, because all the it's been stated is that it was cluttered. There's some dirtiness here and there, blah 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 blah. That's all that's really been stated. So I think the body cam footage is just going to show how far that so-called neglect is, and if it ends up being like just a few dirty dishes here and there and some clothes here and there, like if it looks like a typical normal house, with 5 kids kind of deal, then Nick would probably get a pass, and a lot of us, including me, would be like, all right, man, look, it doesn't look like your house was in such a state of disarray that people were assuming it was. It doesn't look like that. You're still a scumbag for doing cocaine while you had your kids around and stuff, but it doesn't appear to have affected you to the point that you no longer that your house was such a mess that it was on par with like some actual neglect. So I think that's what a lot of people, including myself, are waiting for the body cam footage for.
And that alone is not arrestable, even though it should be. It is a cursed object.
But all of that, it's like I was talking about these bricks on the wall, but even better, it's like Jenga. You build the Jenga tower. Okay, all those pieces together give you that Jenga tower, and you could try to start knocking blocks out, but this theory of this series of events is literally nothing new.
Correct.
This happens all the time across America.
Matt Uzelia says, how does limitation work in stuff past few years after the earliest defamation using the initial suit, adding as a deal? So for example, I'm just going to use Monty, right? This is a great one. So like in the case of Monty, where Nick has repeatedly gone out and repeated the potentially defamatory statement over and over and over again, Monty can add that, particularly when he goes to talking about damages and add that to a complaint. He can amend his complaint. Now each state has different procedures, so I don't want to speak to the specific civil or criminal procedure in different states. States operate very differently regarding defamation, at least in terms of slap and anti-slap motions, right? So that's...
You can say that though in Minnesota in this case.
It's fair, right? So in Minnesota, if we're talking about Minnesota defamation, right, yes, there's going to be the ability to add future defamatory conduct in,
he said it once, but this would also be just examples of, if you wanted to show things, you could show, look, let's say Nick has a change of heart all of a sudden, says, actually, I was wrong, I'm sorry. They're going to say, you weren't sorry up until the past year and a half, you haven't been sorry. And you could show that it's his belief in this, his veracity of it. This is going to, punitive damages. Like, this man won't stop, punish him for this. And the jury's not going to like it, where you're like, why would you say this? You said it once, okay. But you keep saying it, keep saying it, keep saying it. Yeah.
Medic Mark says, also works when I can bench more than the judge. Okay. Super Wiener says, my favorite Florida man and my favorite blogger in one place. It can't get better than this.
I hate the blogger thing.
I love it. Window Lake says, horrible pig monster voice. Legal mindset, legal mindset. Did I do it all right, Sean?
We're like legal dick sucker.
Cerber Wander says, good morning from a Brit on Holly up in Chiang Mai. Nice to see two of you most watched stores. Hey, hope you're enjoying Chiang Mai. It's not burning season yet. I'll be back in Bangkok in like a couple days, but I'm currently still in Manila, which I love. It's great weather here. It's rain season. Nice podcast, Stupid. Says, thanks, gents, for the great analysis. Integrity is more important than grifting. Nick, Kayla, and the human fleshlight April all deserve each other. Let's see. Iron and Prime Investigations says, so the farm says info he has a suspended driver's license during the raid. Thoughts on an added charge and revoked license?
They're not going to tackle. I don't think he has a suspended license. I don't know where that came from.
I don't think they're going to throw that one.
Like I've read to you guys, he doesn't have a suspended license. He has an expired registration. So yeah. So he has expired registration and I think expired tabs
on there. I mean, they've got enough.
They've already got what they've got. Like that's yeah.
They don't need some ticky-tacky bullshit on top of what they got.
No, that's more work you have to deal with.
Yeah. Chris Kelly says, he has some fucking sterling. Please shout out to my lovely wife, Clara. Britain for Trump 2024. What's up, Claire?
Hello, boo.
Thanks for the fucking sterling.
The King Sterling.
Fire PA says, curious to see if Nick has a black eye on body cam.
He probably will because he had a black eye on the local stream right after he had the disaster stream.
Yeah. So the question is, where did that come from? I don't know.
I was right. He's claiming he pulled a William Holden basically. So
what he fell on the.
He fell and hit the corner of the counter. It's like,
wow, it's a domestic violence 101 there, huh? One Nick has a ad read. Timu, get your cheap Chinese crap from us. Florida Medical Pot is pretty good. Just thank you. Nick is still talking in DMs and Twitter. Well, he's on social media. He's gone back on locals apparently. I didn't watch it, but he's gone back. He's gone back publicly, and he's going to have a stream soon. He's going to be back streaming, and he is not staying silent about his case. Now, he believes that the advice to stay silent is anachronistic, right? Which is to his own detriment, right? I mean, once again, people are trying to help you out here by saying don't talk on social media. So
it's anachronistic. I'm the smartest. Listen, it's different for me. I figured it out. It's like no. There's a reason why the old principles and foundations are principles and foundations. It's because they're inviolate and they are there forever. Don't talk about your case.
Right. Hector says doesn't help you have weapons in his possession. Well, that's why I got the additional charge.
Back of my card. I give to people.
What is the back?
It's the back of my business card.
Don't dox yourself, Sean.
No,
Hold on, let me can I hold on, let me make you bigger. How can I do that? Can I do it this way?
You click me on the
sorry, solo view. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Do a shot.
Do not speak to anyone about your case without your attorney being present. Don't talk to fucking anybody. Do not talk to anyone. Don't talk to anyone.
Want to up your mixing game at the click of a button? iZotope is giving away neutron elements for free. It's an amazing, intelligent mixing tool for producers that will help you up your mix.
I can put on it. Don't talk to anybody about your shit.
Yeah, not just from a non-criminal lawyer here, but we got this from somebody who's in the field, right? It's basic criminal law advice, right? Leprechaun Gold.
Oh,
and by the way,
here.
just because advice is basic doesn't mean it's not useful. Oh, by the way, Radix, shout out to Christina. I know she's going on with Tim Pool, so congratulations.
Oh, she is?
Good luck there. Yeah, she's going on tonight, so congratulations. Good luck there, Christina. Long time friend of the channel, great girl, and she's dealt with some shit just for covering the Whitmer stuff, right? So you want to talk about somebody? You want to talk about somebody who the government actually is coming for? And it's not just some.
You want a real conspiracy?
You want a real conspiracy? Yeah, Christina's dealing with a real conspiracy in Michigan regarding that Whitmer plot. So if you guys want to know about that, you can follow her channel. She's been doing great work there. So she is a great friend of mine, friend of the channel, and she's a great person. Leprechaun Gold says super sticker for 4. Thank you so much. Random watching for £2 says I need 20 cc's of copium. Stat. Yeah, the copium is strong. The copium is very, very strong.
You need that pure copium.
Carly said, what about the shout out of DUI guy? I don't know what he's talking about. Sean, do you know what he's talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I guess there's he said he had talked to Larry, and I was kind of like stream sniping and commenting too much. But like if Larry's agreeing to help him, cool. By all means, good on Larry. Larry's a very competent attorney. Larry's got a lot of results.
Is he barred in Minnesota?
I'm sure he could probably pro hoc in at some point. I don't think it'd probably be too hard. Maybe he is. Sure. Maybe he is barred. I doubt it because he's in Kentucky. But yeah, Larry would be a fine lawyer. Larry would give good advice. I'm sure if Larry's working with him, would be telling him shut up and let me do my job.
Right. If the choice is Larry or himself, right?
Yeah.
There's a clear choice here, right? There's a clear choice.
Yes.
Let me see here. Geeky Candy says, "Lol at asking Sean, how can you make him bigger?"
Yes, I saw that. That was great.
That was pretty good. Sorry. Sometimes
you stepped on the rake for me.
Yeah,
I got hit with it.
I pulled a Nick on that one. Doom, huh? So will Nick have to try on the Baldo in court? No. The Baldo's completely legally irrelevant, right? It's funny. That's why I was in like the Turkey Tom documentary. It's like,
if the bottle doesn't fit, you must have quit. God damn it.
Funny, but it's legally irrelevant, right?
Yes. Somebody saying Nick has a lawyer. The guy's not entered his appearance yet, unless it's come up in the last hours. Until you see an attorney saying entry of appearance, I hereby am representing the defendant in the above captioned case. Please, all correspondence from the court, please send to me. He's not represented.
I think he is. I've been like, the reason I've been commenting is I'm trying to search for the damn thing. I just remembered seeing. Oh, here we go. Finally, fucking hell. All right, so real quick, he does have a lawyer. I finally found the damn thing. It's been driving me nuts. So I haven't been talking so much. There we go. All right. So it says state of Minnesota, county of Candidahoy, whatever. So it's plaintiff versus Nicholas Robert Rekieta, Francis White Law, PLLC. The firm, Francis White Law, PLLC, hereby represents the above referenced defendant on the following matters before the court. All violations associated with this case number. I understand that I cannot withdraw from the representation unless said withdrawal is approved by the court after hearing on a written motion pursuant to Rule 703 of the General Rules of Practice for the District Court. You can see that this is dated June 13th. So this, again, when they did this video, it was it's been 10 days. So this was Thursday. So Nick does have a lawyer. It's Francis White Law, PLLC. Let's see. I'm just looking him up. Okay, he practices family law, criminal law, military law, contract disputes, veterans disability, compensation claims. So obviously he is a criminal lawyer. So there we go. Finally, my insane look is gone. And then so what this is about? Hold on. There it is. So someone quoted this tweet, this thing, and is asking Mr. Francis White.
Also says, as someone that hopes to high heaven, this is way overblown.
God damn it, fucking hell. Are the following statements by your client, Rekieta Law, approved by you and true? If anyone sends money, will you be the custodian of the government ID Nick Rekieta is demanding? And the money is required as payment for full access to his legal information on his defense via on locals. If so, please provide clarification on how private information would be protected and who is responsible for safeguarding this information, as well as the funds generated from Mr. Rekieta's requirements of payments and how they will be distributed. Best regards.
Glad to hear you say you're not going to talk about your case. But like I said, everything I need to say about the case specifically will be said in filings, probably by my lawyer, not by me, because it's a criminal case. But, that'll all happen when it happens. It's not going to happen on a local stream, except government.
This is terrible audio. What the fuck, Nick? Oh man, what the hell?
It is 100% going to happen on a local stream. All government actors who want access to my exclusive talks about nothing but my case and all the details can join at the $150 a month level on locals. If you join at the $150 a month level on locals and submit to me your government identification, I will automatically share all of the details of my case and my legal strategy, and we'll have exclusive interviews with my lawyer where we'll type everything out in public. There you go. I'll make that. You don't have to wait for a locals tier on it. They don't do it. You can personally take the option. $150 a month, plus you'll have to personally send me a copy of your government ID, and you'll get exclusive access to everything about my case.
God
straight from.
I wonder if my audio's this bad.
Your stand-up comedy act.
So there you go. So that was apparently, obviously this is just a tongue-in-cheek classic Rekieta. So obviously that's what that is. Okay, let's finish up.
So there's an official entry on a record. There is no attorney.
There you go. Irham Amin says, young Crip wore the medallion and dead 4 months later. Don't take the medallion. One dickhead for five, so the president is a felon now. This is technically true.
Mm-hmm.
It's technically true. Over there on locals,
he hasn't been sentenced yet.
True. So there's still there's due process.
Yeah, actually, but yes.
Yeah. Secret Metal for $1 said, I want to see Rackets thrown in cuffs with the song "Bad Boys" playing the back. Bad Boys is a good song. I like Bad Boys. What you gonna do? Secret Metal for $1 said, I have a bad feeling Nick would be his own lawyer, then play lawyer tequila like a retard.
He wouldn't be able to do that. He wouldn't be allowed to do that.
He's definitely not allowed to continue to do that, right, at this point. I mean, there was an argument for the arraignment, but that shouldn't continue to happen. And then also for $1 said, Larry greater than Barnes.
I mean, depends what you're trying to do, but yeah, for stuff like this, yes, I would rather have Larry than Barnes. There might be things Barnes is better at, but this is not going to be one of them.
I mean, it's not an Amish milk case, so we're not the same. Brandon said, DUI guy did offer. I was watching when he offered. Oh, that's awesome. And you know what? I hope Nick takes all the real help he can get.
Yeah, I hope. I just want him to get real counsel. I understand you guys. If he does it himself, it's funnier and all that. But like I said, I want him to be better at the end of this. That I want him to be in a better spot than he is right now. Mm-hmm. And representing himself is not going to be that. I hope he finds an attorney quickly. I hope he finds an attorney he jives with and they hit it off and they've got a good rapport. But I hope that happens pretty damn quick.
Right. I understand that, obviously Nick is not happy right now. And obviously he's going through a lot of things, particularly, if he's in withdrawal, it's a tough time, right? It's really difficult, right? And he's not going to be a happy camper. Right. And, there's people that are going to tell you what you want to hear and people that are not going to tell you what you want to hear. But, frankly, if it was me and I'm in a situation, I would want people who are telling me the sober facts, even when I have lost my mind or I'm, off the rails or whatever else. I would want people that are going to say, yeah, please follow this basic advice. It's very basic. Just do that, right? I would want people that are telling me, no, you're being dumb, straighten it out. That's my personal opinion. That's how I would want it to be if the case was reversed. Let's see. There's a couple here that just came in. Cecil Lothar said, in most places, does one get a criminal record the moment he is found guilty or when he is sentenced?
I mean, it's already started though. Like,
Okay. I don't really think there's anything left that I need to really be watching for this. So yeah. So we've got something else we're just gonna take a look at. This is from a clip from his local stream. Apparently, he gives a Lady Rackets update.
And I saw a lot of people earlier asking how Lady Rackets is. I mean, given the circumstances, better than expected. She's a strong lady. It's tough. Like, this shit is really unfun, obviously.
Well, then you probably shouldn't be doing cocaine when it's illegal.
Being under the government thumb is not enjoyable. It's not supposed to be. It's designed this way. It's designed to be stressful and strenuous. And that's how it is, right? But you know, you take it a day at a time, and some days are good and some days are fucking garbage. And then some days are partly good and partly garbage. And then other days, you know, your mood kind of swings back and forth by the minute. There's no predicting it. You get a phone call or a text message or an email from a lawyer, from the government or whatever, or even from a family member or friend, and it can be really uplifting. It can be heartbreaking, and it can be infuriating, and you never know which one it's going to be. How do I feel? Fine. It's the first time I've said that in a while. No, I mean, again, given the circumstances, taking the opportunity to do some shit that I needed time to do, lots of that just being having time to, you know, redecorate the studio, work towards shifting my show schedule towards daytime a little bit. I'm still not 100% sure how that's going to pan out. It'll be a growing pain that we do it. I look more rested. I am. You know, we were waiting for the end of the school year to hit, and the arrest is on Thursday. The end of the school year was just the next day.
So there we go. I was Emma wouldn't be doing so well. I don't have my kids. What way can you do? So you know, like I said, we're hopefully gonna have that body cam footage coming out soon. And we'll get to see. I think most people they really want the body cam footage. Not to, oh, was there actually cocaine and shit like that? There wasn't anything like that. But I think a lot of us are waiting for just the body cam footage just to see the state of the house. What did the house look like? And you know, if the house looks like it does, like, you know, if it looks as bad as, well, worse as if it looks bad, okay, because the report doesn't really say anything. It just says, oh, there was some clutter here and there, dirty dishes, shit like that. But I've given, you know, the fact that he has 5 kids, it really, like, it depends on the look of the house, because, you know, if you have kids, your house is generally a mess regardless. So I haven't really gave much credence to that yet. So that's why I am currently waiting for the body cam footage so we can see what the house actually looks like. Is there, you know, does it really look that bad? Does it look terrible? Something, you know, of that nature. So, you know, hopefully that body cam footage comes out soon. Let's see. All right, hold on. 'Cause I know Kiwi Farms. Hold on. We got something else that we're gonna watch here real quick. We got a few more updates. So let's see.
I don't know what people want to see in the body cam footage. I don't even know what the state will release in regards to the body cam footage.
Well, I'll explain. What I've explained is why people actually want to see the body cam footage. Let's listen to what Rekieta says, and then obviously I've already explained.
Because if you're talking about the body cam footage of my arrest, there's not a ton, I would think, of my arrest. I think people are conflating the body cam footage of my arrest with the body cam footage of the search of my property. And I'm not sure what the state would be releasing. Like, I don't know what their planned release is or what footage they have. I don't know if they'd release the search. I don't know if they'd release just the arrest footage. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. So I'm not sure what people want to see there. But,
Yeah, what people want to see is, it was your house as fucked up as stated in the body cam thing. Okay, that's why. All right, Nick. That's why people want to see the body cam footage. We want to know, how fucked up was your house? Was it terrible? What did you have? Did you actually neglect your children? Okay, if that doesn't appear to be true, then maybe we'll give you a pass. But at this point, we're waiting for body cam footage for that. Now, real quick. Okay, that's just being difficult, apparently. Sorry, I'm doing something here. All right, well, fuck it. So, little campaign ad. Get me a little money. So, make sure to download the Rumble app. Once you download it, search for my channel and following channels directly on the app. This will make sure that you get notifications every time I or anyone else you follow go live. Click the link in the description or pinned live chat to download the Rumble app on your phone. It's free. If you prefer to watch us on a big screen TV, it's also available for Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, Roku, LG, and Samsung TV. All you need to do is search for Rumble. Yeah, Rumble is the greatest, is by far the best free speech platform that we have. They're not as censory as YouTube. They allow free speech to the extent. I know when it first rolled out, people were complaining because we were used to YouTube and all that stuff, but Rumble has gotten a lot better. Most of the conservatives, people that you probably follow, are on Rumble. So check out Rumble. The app is great. And, if you don't want to download the app or anything, you can just, Google it, go online. But the app just makes it easier. They just had an update for Android phones. Now you can do a watch history. You can, I think you can check out playlists, stuff of that nature. So just check out the Rumble. Check out the Rumble app. Download it. That way you can always have it. What's also great is you can have it going on, and then you can close your phone screen and then put it in your pocket, walk around, listen to your Rumble stuff instead of having it on like you would YouTube. And that's free. I think to do that with YouTube, you actually have to pay for it. But with Rumble, it's free. So you can have it on your app, have it playing in the background, do some other stuff on your phone, or you can turn your phone off, but turn the screen off, put it in your pocket, go about your day. You don't have to walk around with it on and accidentally, if you're like me with your with my giant thighs, rubbing against it, pushing, and causing causing your whatever you're listening to skip ahead or shit of that nature. So check out the Rumble app. It's great. There we go. It's beautiful. Just little campaigns. If you don't know, Rumble does campaign stuff that you're able to do and just kind of read ads for Rumble and get a little cashola. So they raised, and it goes by viewership. So that's why I don't do many because I don't get a lot of viewers. If yesterday I did the coffee one and I lost like everyone all the live viewers, which is fine, doesn't really bother me. But now apparently I gotta have 17 viewers to do the Rumble coffee. But I highly recommend also 1775 coffee. It is delicious. It's what I currently drink now. Also, yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. All right. Let's see. It also looks like Rekieta has. I don't need this anymore. It looks like Rekieta has also basically requested all the evidence from the government. So we do have that now. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. Sorry. All right. So to the state of Minnesota and its attorney, pursuant to Rule 9 of the Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedures, the defendant, through the undersigned attorney, that's Francis White again, demands that the state of Minnesota forthwith make the following written disclosures prior to such time as the defendant is required to waive or demand a hearing on the issue of probable cause. The names and addresses of all the people whom the state intends to call as witnesses, NCIC and BCA printouts, and other records of charges and convictions for witnesses disclosed by the state. Any of the following statements have statements known to the prosecutor that relate to the case, whether or not the person who made the statement is listed as a witness. Written or recorded statements, written summaries, or oral statements, the substance of oral statements. The names and address of witnesses, if any, who have testified before a grand jury in the case against the defendant. Names and addresses of persons having information related to the case. Recorded statements made by defendant, co-defendant, and or accomplice, whether before or after arrest pursuant to State v. Scales 518 N period W period 2D 587 Minnesota 94. All recorded audio and video statements made in the alleged mandatory reporter. All audio and video statements made by any witnesses. All body cam footage relevant to this case made by any law enforcement. So there we go. Apparently, he has a new trial date. I've yet to see that, so I had no idea about that. So I'm gonna do a quick search. Oh, that's not it. I don't see anything on that. I haven't seen anything talking like just that one comment about the whole trial date. I have yet to see anything else on that. I don't know why I'm looking at his lawyer. His lawyer's not going to discuss it. All right, so I have no idea. Weird. All right, so that's all we got today. Oh, okay. So that's all I got today. That's just the Rekieta stuff. Oh, you know what? A little bit. Just one more thing before we get over another. Someone else that's terrible. If you guys remember, this is the lady who stabbed a 3-year-old to death and injured her mother, or his mother. She now has a trial date, December 9th, 2024. That's something I will also be watching. Yeah, so there we go. So it's actually around my birthday. That's hilarious. Well, not really. Never mind. That's not around my birthday. I'm so fucking dumb. It's around Rekieta's birthday. That's what I mean. Yeah, because Rekieta's birthday is December 16th. That's right. Now, will he be streaming that trial? All right. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you oh, also, sorry. I got another thing. The judge in the Young Thug trial has denied the request to recuse himself. No surprise there, honestly. I'm sure there's going to be an interlocutory appeal, and that's going to be stopped. The case is going to be stopped, and then eventually, and that's going to go to the appellate court. And I would be surprised if he doesn't get. Well, I'd be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get taken off the case. So there we go. All right. I hope you all have a good day. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like it and subscribe. I guess you all really enjoyed the Rekieta stuff because it's a higher viewership than I normally get, which is cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And you come check me out when I talk about other stuff. It's okay if you don't. I won't be too brokenhearted. But yeah, I hope you all have a good day. Peace out. And I will see you later. See ya. Peace.